Hey everybody, before the video starts, just a quick reminder that you could take guitar or bass lessons with me at theartofguitar.com or theartofbass.com. And I'm excited to announce that even though everybody seems to be raising their prices everywhere you look, The Art of Guitar is still $10.95 per month. And I know, private lessons can be really expensive, so I think this is a really good alternative for people and a great way to get started on your journey to playing guitar or bass. So enjoy the video. Thanks. Hi everybody, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar. Last night I was watching a horror movie called Weapons, and I was kind of surprised because towards the beginning of the movie, a George Harrison song kicks in.
Watch out now, take care, you will agree.
And it fits the creepiness of the movie perfectly. Now, I'm a pretty huge Beatles fan and George Harrison fan, so I know that George can write all kinds of music. Everything from like soft ballads to really upbeat rockin' tunes, but he can also write his share of strange songs too. One of the creepiest tunes I think I've ever heard by him is Blue Jay Way off of Magical Mystery Tour. If you've ever heard that song before, you know what I'm talking about. Actually, that whole album's kind of creepy. So even though I was surprised to hear George Harrison in a movie like this, it didn't shock me that it fits so well. But I can see if I was more of a fan of just his big hits like Something or Here Comes the Sun, or even I Got My Mind Set on You, I'd be like, there's no way a Harrison tune could ever work in a horror movie this well. After seeing the movie, I jumped on YouTube, and it was so cool because in the comments section, it was just flooded with people that were like, how many of you guys are here after watching the movie? And I thought it was really great for people who may not have discovered George Harrison up until that point, his solo stuff at least, to finally appreciate it, I guess. What I really want to do with this video is to tell you why I think this works so well in the movie. And obviously the title of the song is perfect, Beware of Darkness. But obviously people watching the movie, if they've never heard the song before, didn't know the title. And it's not because it has some melodic phrase that's, a signature thing for the movie, kind of like you would get for the Halloween intro, or even just the two notes in Jaws that you probably know really well. I still hear that every time I go swimming. Isn't that crazy how powerful that is? In my opinion, the reason why this song by George Harrison fits so well is because of the chord progressions. The movement of the chords and the chord choices actually create this real ominous feeling. More specifically, the chord progressions that are in this song give you a feeling that you never quite go home. Like in your normal progressions, you have a home chord and then you build from there. So let's say, for example, you're in the key of E. Well, there's a lot of ways you can go when you know your theory. So for example, you could do a 1-4-5. But you could tell when you come back home to the main chord. The homeless and ominous nature of these chord progressions in the George Harrison song are basically perfect because in the scene, you have a bunch of kids coming out of their homes and running into the unknown darkness. So I just feel like it's so crazy how perfect that is. Almost like they wrote the music for the movie, but obviously that's not true. The song I think was written in 1970. I also get the same effect when I watch Breaking Bad, the finale, and they play Baby Blue by Badfinger. Badfinger was very much tied in with the Beatles. And so I hear a lot of back and forth similarities between Baby Blue and this song. So I think if you slowed down the Badfinger tune, it would sound a lot like Beware of Darkness. Let me play the first part of the song and see if you agree that there's a feeling of like you can't find home. It just feels like you're wandering. Starts with B. Walks down to G7 instead of E. Unexpectedly, goes up to G sharp minor to C sharp minor. Walks down again, but this time to A. Finally to the home chord E, but jumps right back to the C sharp minor. C sharp minor. There's that D sus2. Isn't that crazy? Think you're gonna go home? Nope. Up to B. B has this weird feeling, because it's the 5 chord in the key of E, that you're just hovering. You're waiting to land, but you never quite do. I think that's why this is so powerful. Now, the D sus2 kind of tricks us because it sounds optimistic, like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but then it quickly switches to A and then brings us back to that weird B. That walk down to the G7 is just mind-blowing because you're expecting B, A, E, like a normal chord progression would go, but that G7 spins you into a different reality, like the tornado in The Wizard of Oz. It's funny because he found a way to make G7 sound creepy as hell. Usually G7 sounds bluesy to me, or it sounds, like I Feel Fine or something a little bit more positive. But just like in Brain Damage by Pink Floyd, he was able to make that G7 sound pretty wicked. So Brain Damage is the D major to the G7. Such a cool sound. Now, do they give us any kind of relief when it comes to the next section? Only at first, but sadly the lyrics during that part, when you are home at E, are it can hit you, it can hurt you. So no resting there. Goes from E to the D. You could think of that as a secondary subdominant if you want to get technical. A. Now, going back to E would feel good, right? Doesn't do it. He changes it to F sharp minor. To B minor. Now we're in a total tailspin. Back to G7, which is so cool because it shares the B and the D tones. Switches over, and so that F sharp that's in the first chord B minor both moves up to G and back to F to create the G7 chord. It's so sweet. Now when we go back to B, we go to major. Isn't that wild? That allows us just to easily go right back to the beginning where it goes B, A, G7 again. So it just loops full circle right there. So think about that. You've got a little relief in the E, but barely. Like, okay, finally home. Nope. Go to that D. A. No rested. We go to F sharp minor to the B minor to the G7 to the B major. So in my opinion, this song works so well for that particular scene because it does leave you with this feeling of wandering into, a dark place. You're not sure where you're headed, but all you know is you're no longer home. And if you watch the rest of the movie, you'll see how that all resolves, but I think you're going to like it. It has gotten mixed reviews, by the way, but I think it's a really solid horror movie. I really dig Julia Garner ever since Ozark.
If you want to stop me, you're going to have to fucking kill me!
But there's also Josh Brolin and a couple other actors I was surprised were in it. But yeah, I think it's a real solid movie, even though the end is a little bit weird. But let me know in the comment section if you've seen the movie and what you thought of it. I'd be really interested to see if this particular part of the movie is your favorite part, just like it is mine. But like I said, even if that is the case, it's still worth watching. So, okay, everyone, thank you again for watching, and we'll catch you at the next video. Bye-bye.